Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. Just because the Olympia is over does not mean the excitement has ended. We've got a lot to look forward to this month still, one of them being the upcoming Prague Pro at the end of this month. So Martin Fitzwater, who just placed top 5 at the Open Olympia, has confirmed he will be returning to Prague to defend his title. So that lineup in Prague is shaping up to be quite the interesting lineup and quite the challenge for Keone Pearson. I think it's going to be a very good proving ground for Keone, making his Open debut in a show that's going to be difficult. This is not going to be an easy show for Keone to win. And I think it's a show that's going to make a really strong case for Keone's Open career if he's able to win it, because Martin Fitzwater, obviously, is no slouch. Michael Krizo is also doing this show, but more importantly, I think Martin Fitzwater, that's going to present a real challenge. Martin Fitzwater is a top 5 Open Olympian fresh off the Olympia stage. So if Keone is able to beat him at this Prague show, at his Open bodybuilding debut, I think it does make a really solid case for Keone having a very successful Open career. If he can step right off the 212 stage, battle it out with one of the best Open bodybuilders in the world, Martin Fitzwater. If Keone comes out on top, I think there's a legitimate conversation to be had about Keone's Open career and how good he could possibly do at the Open Olympia, because beating a top 5 Olympian right after the Olympia, I mean, it arguably puts Keone in the mix for a top 4 placing when you fast forward and look ahead to next year. So that's going to be a very exciting show. I think probably we're going to see some more guys continue to compete from the Olympia, because there are these qualifying opportunities very early in the season, very late in this year, but early in the season, to qualify for 2026 Olympia. So I don't think the excitement is over just because the Olympia is over. There's a few more shows before the end of the year, including the Prague show, but also including the show in Brazil next week for Classic Physique. Terrence Ruffin, Ruff Diesel, top 3 Olympian in Classic Physique, stepping right off the Olympia stage and going straight to Brazil next week to compete again and get that early qualification for 2026. Which I'm excited to see, because you guys know how I feel about Terrence. I love his physique. I feel like he's a really good representative for what classic physique is supposed to be. I feel like he really embodies that classic look. He might not have had the size to compete with Ramon and Mike, which I think was the issue. I think that might be what it came down to, is that they were just, they really outsized Terrence. I mean, when you're talking about classic, I really do think of those 3 guys, Terrence has the most classic physique, but is he able to compete with guys that are that much just heavier than him? So I'm definitely rooting for Terrence here. Hopefully he can nab the early qualification in Brazil and then spend the next year, kind of going back to the drawing board and maybe taking some judge feedback and figuring out what he can do differently next year to move up. And I guess my question for you guys is, do you think he can move up? Do you think he can win the Classic Physique Olympia? Because I felt like this was a nearly perfect version of Terrence that we saw at the Olympia this year, and it still wasn't enough to be top 2. Is it a size thing? Is it a conditioning thing? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What could Terrence do differently going back to the drawing board for the rest of the year as he looks ahead to the 2026 Olympia? Now, on top of that, as far as the Arnold Classic 2026 goes, both Andrew Jacked and Martin Fitzwater have both confirmed their intent to do the Arnold. It doesn't look like Derek Lunsford is doing the Arnold after the post-show press conference. Samson, I feel like it's hard to say. You've got to wonder if after placing, dropping to 4th place, if Samson is going to go back to the drawing board and not worry about doing any other shows and focus on solely claiming back his Olympia title. I don't know, though. There's 750,000 reasons to do the Arnold, and I'm very curious, like, if Nick Walker's going to do it. I mean, that's a big opportunity for Nick to get some redemption. I feel like that's kind of been the type of trajectory that Nick has had, is when he has a disappointing showing or a setback or whatever, he picks a show that's going to make a big statement, and he comes in and he wins it. And I feel like there would be really nothing bigger than the Arnold 2026 with $750,000 for first place. Whoever wins that is going to be talked about for a while. And Andrew Jacked, man, what can I say about how impressive Andrew Jacked was at this year's Olympia? If it's just Andrew and there's no Derek or Samson or Hottie at the Arnold, I think Andrew wins the Arnold. And there's rumors about him doing this Poland show too before the end of the year. I'm not sure about that. I guess he does not need to requalify for the 2026 Olympia because he was top 4 this year. So far, it's Andrew Jacked. He was top 3 this year. Andrew Jacked, Hadi Chupin, Derek Lunsford, and Sergey are the current qualified guys for 2026. So I don't know why Andrew would do Poland, since now he does not need to qualify for next year's Olympia. But man, Andrew really did deliver at the Olympia this year. There's really not much else to say. Top 3, brought a fantastic look, probably his best look ever. I think there's a chance that he comes in and wins the Arnold for the first time if he does it. Now, next up in the news, I feel like there's always some drama following the Olympia, and sure enough, there was in the women's physique category. And honestly, I thought this was pretty whack, if I'm being totally real with you guys. So Sarah Villegas, who was the defending champion this year, lost her title to Natalia Coelho. Now, I thought it was pretty clear that Natalia had her beat. I thought it was just, it was a clear-cut victory. I didn't think there was anything controversial about it, anything like that. So I thought it was pretty whack for Sarah to come out and say, 7 Olympia medals, and all-time winningest with 4 gold. I run to the fire, not from it. Bring it on. What's next for me? If you know me, you already know the answer. I'm definitely not going out by a lightweight Oil Olympia champion. Not a typo, implying that Natalia uses synthol. I'll leave you all with this. The way you do one thing in life is the way you do everything. Rewarded or not, shortcuts will always catch up. I just thought this was super lame. And it's like you congratulate and hug each other on stage, and you go home and post something like this. It feels very petty, very sore loser energy, just very whack. This is dumb. I think this kind of thing just shows a very poor ambassadorship for the sport, and I feel like it has the opposite effect too. Like if you want people to root for you to get your title back next year, I feel like this is not the way to do it. I feel like no one is rooting for her after reading this. It makes people want her to lose again. And then the final story that I've got for you guys today, I thought this was interesting too, is German bodybuilder Roman Fritz recently was talking on a podcast about how German bodybuilding fans were rooting against Mike and seemed not to like Mike, speaking of Mike Sommerfeld, of course. And he said he thinks that that's disappointing and that they should keep their mouths shut and that it's not cool to not support a fellow German bodybuilder. And I think it begs the question, why does everybody seem so anti-Mike, even fans from his own country? I don't really understand. It seems like nobody likes the guy. I mean, it's fairly obvious why the Brazilian fans wouldn't be a fan of his, but it seems like no one even likes him. I mean, we talked about a few weeks before the Olympia, the little back and forth that he had with Urs Kalasinski, fellow German bodybuilder, and the back and forth was kind of about this same basis, was that Urs didn't predict Mike to win, and Mike basically said, well, we're both from Germany, so you should be supporting me. And it does kind of make me wonder if that was the root of German fans not being supportive of Mike. Maybe they were fans of Urs and saw that back and forth, and that made them turn on Mike. It is interesting, though. It's like Mike seems to be the villain of the classic physique division right now. It seems like he's like considered the bad guy. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.